Hey friends, Sally Brown here. There's a reason that you're receiving this message. Mac and I really need your help. Mac's job is to find gaps in opposing teams' game plans. Together, we like to identify gaps in children's health. And wow, we found a big gap right here in Chapel Hill when a good friend's child had a terrible accident.
Lee's a very active, wild kid, plays about every sport you can think of.
Anything with the ball, Lee loves to play, especially baseball.
My name is Lee Fitch. I am 10 years old and I am in 5th grade.
Lee was hit by a car coming uphill on a road in downtown Chapel Hill, blindsided and knocked his helmet completely off, and he flew about 20 feet where he tumbled on the pavement. But we found him halfway in a storm drain, one shoe on, no helmet.
He was lying on the ground, bleeding from the head, not breathing, and it was scarring and just horrible, so.
We were told after the MRI and the knowledge about the traumatic brain injury that Lee would need inpatient rehabilitation, and unfortunately UNC Children's did not offer this.
By the grace of God, there was one bed open in Atlanta at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta.
He would have physical therapy twice a day. He would have occupational therapy twice a day. He would have speech. Sometimes they would take him to music where they would let him play instruments. He would do art. There was pet therapy, which he loved. Lee entered in a wheelchair. He could hardly walk. He certainly could not stand on his own. And when we left, he walked out with his own 2 feet.
I don't know that I've seen a child have such a significant injury and have such great progress, a great outcome at the end of it. I think that a huge part of Lee's success was that he was able to get great care in the inpatient rehab setting in Atlanta.
There's a saying as we think about brain injury that time is brain. We can't let any second go to waste. If you have a child that has the access to a full suite of rehabilitation services versus a child who does not, it is clearly demonstrated, that you will not make the same level of recovery and certainly not in the same amount of time.
Typically, rehab will only allow one family member at the bedside, and so for families that have multiple children, jobs, this really potentially means that their child will go by themselves to rehab or that a family will be separated for a prolonged period of time. And that's really challenging for us to talk to families about, that we think this is best for their child, but also it means likely separation from their family unit, which we know is just essential to healing from brain recovery. And we have 3 patients right now in the hospital that are awaiting rehab placement. There just are not enough pediatric beds.
Given more resources, given more capacity, we're going to be able to provide a much higher level of service, much higher level of care, and much more access to services for the families who we see here in North Carolina and beyond.
This is one of those opportunities to set up a system of care where there is none. And I think it's an incredible thing to be able to give a child, even if it's just one, to be able to give a child a chance at a brighter future.
Knowing who we knew was a miracle with the amount of doctors, the phone calls they made to help us out, that a lot of people don't have those kind of connections. So it made us think about, what if there's a major communication or language barrier? How would this child be affected by that? Would they just sit in the hospital and sit in the hospital and sit in the hospital? And in Atlanta, fortunately, we had a really good friend who lives down there. Otherwise, to be somewhere aware where you're not familiar, don't know anything about a giant city like that, to be able to get around, meals, food, all that stuff. When you don't have that support system of people dropping it off at the hospital or dropping stuff off at your house, it just makes you feel real lost about where you are and what you're doing. If you ask me why somebody should give to a fund like this, is for a reason to keep the family together in a local place where support is all around you. And we got such good doctors and good facilities here. You know, let's build something special that can help everybody.
We absolutely hate what happened to Lee Fitch, but we are so grateful that his family was able to take him to Atlanta for rehabilitation. But what about all those families that don't have that ability? Those kids' outcomes differ significantly from Lee Fitch's, and that is just not right. Mac and I are determined to raise $20 million to fund the Fitch Family Pediatric Rehabilitation Center so that millions of children can receive the help that they need. We can do this with your help. Thank you so much.